How can foreigners legally marry in Italy? Hi and welcome to the Legal Wedding Planner, a firm created by legal consultants and wedding planners based in Italy. In this video, I want to go deeper into a subject that is what are the main documents to legally marry in Italy. Almost every couple who is planning a civil marriage in Italy has heard about the Nulla Osta. But here is the key point. The Nulla Osta is not always the document required to legally marry in Italy. It depends on the nationality of the bride and the groom. Today I will show you exactly how it works, so let's use a whiteboard to explain it better. And here it is our Nulla Osta. So when this document is required, we have to deal with the foreign consulate in Italy. So for example, if we have a mixed couple like Chinese bride and a Croatian groom, we have to deal with the Croatian consulate in Italy and the Chinese consulate in Italy. This consulate will certainly request specific documents from the home country that generally are birth certificate and free marital status. And how do these consulates are in charge for the release of the Nulla Osta? This happens because the foreign consulates in Italy know the Italian law and the home country law. That's why they can decide whether the bride or the groom are eligible to get married in Italy. So once the Nulla Osta is issued, we have to legalize it in prefettura. Sometimes the legalization is exempted according to the international conventions applicable. So what is this legalization and why do we need that? The legalization is the process through which a foreign document, that in this case is the Nulla Osta, can enter in the Italian legal system. And technically, how is this gonna work? The clerk of the prefettura will check that the signature of the consul placed on the Nulla Osta is the same that the prefettura has in their registry. So now that we have our Nulla Osta legalized, we are ready to get married in the town hall. Another legal pathway is the certificate of marriage capacity that is provided for under the Munich Convention of 1980. Only few countries can release the certificate of marriage capacity since they are party of the Munich Convention. These countries are Austria, Germany, Greece, Luxembourg, Moldova, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Switzerland and Turkey. The advantage of the certificate of marriage capacity is that it is released in all the languages of each country that I've listed before, and it doesn't need any legalization in the prefettura. So let's see now the third legal pathway that is the result of specific bilateral agreement between Italy and another country. For example, with the British citizens, we request the CNI, a certificate of no impediment, together with a statutory declaration. But the main document is the CNI. So the CNI must be apostilled according to the Hague Convention that is enforced between UK and Italy, and the CNI needs also to be translated. The translation can be either done at the Italian consulate in the UK or in the court in Italy. So this applies also to other countries like Sweden, Norway, Slovenia, Mexico, and few others. I will of course leave a link in the description to a blog post that lists all the countries that follow this procedure. And then the fourth and the last legal pathway that is peculiar because it applies only to US citizens. The affidavit procedure dates back to 1965 when the Italian ambassador and the American ambassador agreed to simplify the process. Thanks to this simplified procedure, the American citizen needs only to swear before a US consul in the US consulate in Italy that there are no impediments to their marriage according to the law of the state in the US where they live. The difference between the American affidavit and the consular Nulla Osta is that with the affidavit, the American citizen doesn't need to provide any document. With the consular Nulla Osta, we have to provide some documents to the consulate in Italy that must be issued in the home country. In both cases, the consular nulla osta and the American affidavit must be legalized in the competent prefectura. For the nulla osta, there are some exemptions depending on the international conventions applicable. I hope the legal framework for obtaining the marriage documents to legally marry in Italy was helpful. If you need assistance, feel free to reach out through our website. I will leave the link in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in Italy.